Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second season of the GD Report. I am G.
And I am D. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, great to see everybody. So we took a little hiatus, and now we're back. We got looking forward to a big season here. A lot of political stuff to talk about. A lot of things going on today. Let's head off to DC and the premier event in the nation's capital right now, which is the Supreme Court hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. I believe I said that correct, didn't I? Oop, looks like we lost Chris.
Yeah, it's nomination hearing. Am I there now?
Yeah, you're there.
All right. We've got the confirmation hearings going on for Judge Jackson, who I might mention has been already been nominated and confirmed 3 times before the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, with overwhelming approval each time.
Bipartisan support,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, as is wont to happen, Republicans are in the first day of full hearings today, where they actually had questions. They're throwing the proverbial kitchen sink at the federal judge with all kinds of I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you, because it's been a modicum of ridiculousness. Because when you look at her experience, the amount of time she's been a judge, the experience as a public defender, as serving on the sentencing board. I mean, her educational credentials, having graduated Harvard College undergraduate, Harvard Law School, been an editor of the Harvard Law Review. I don't think we've had a more qualified candidate.
Well, now
for the Supreme Court.
She never did release her LSAT score, so
yeah, along with every other Supreme Court nominee. Isn't that funny that the first African American female nominee, they asked for her LSAT scores, yet they haven't asked for that on any other nominee.
Yeah. Well, that's Tucker Carlson driving that train, and that's just showing your racism. It's like basically what you're saying is, we don't believe you're smart enough to get into Harvard Law and to achieve the level of achievement that you've achieved in your lifetime where you are now, because you're a black person. That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah, and it's not even to call that a dog whistle is not fair to dog whistles, because
absolutely
it's in the open. There's no code to it.
Right.
So that was the beginning of it. And the other thing is I found interesting is the way that Senator Theodore Raphael Cancun Cruz has decided that he needs to take up the case of the downtrodden white male who's not being considered for this position, because President Biden said he was going to pick an African American female.
Right.
It's because out of the 116 plus justices that we've had, I think what does this make? 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be the 5th female.
Yeah.
In total. So it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, you had Lindsey Graham, Lady G, asking all kinds of questions about her religion, and asking her to rate her faith from 1 to 10.
Right.
And
then saying he's not religious. He only goes to church like 3 times a year. But I want you to tell me how religious you are. Yeah.
And then
what a jerk.
And then when he said at the end, because she was a public defender that worked on the amicus briefs for the Guantanamo detainees, he went through this whole diatribe about how that Judge Jackson had written that President George W. Bush and Donald Rumsfeld were war criminals, which is not what she said, by the way. Shocker that they took it out of context. The amicus brief said that holding people without due cause, without access to a trial, without access to their attorneys, could be considered a war crime in some cases, some instances. And Lindsey Graham said, well, these people that have been released, the recidivism, they're serving in the Taliban government. They're doing this, they're doing that. He left out the convenient fact that there was quite a few of those folks we detained that after we dug into it, we found out they had nothing to do with anything.
Right. Well, and what he did mention is a couple of those guys were released under Trump.
Yeah, and he said that didn't have anything to do with it. And it's like when Trump did did Trump do the swap for Bo Bergdahl, or was that
that was Obama?
Obama. Okay. I can call it like it is. I know a couple of them were released on that that prisoner swap for Bergdahl. And the other thing is, he said at the end before he stormed off in his hissy fit that he said he didn't care if the 39 people who were still at Guantanamo died in custody. Yep. He just thought if they're going to be a safety hazard to the U.S., he didn't care if they died in custody. And he's basically saying he's against the rule of law.
Yeah.
That there should be no due process for these people at all. And it doesn't, that's the thing too, is he kept saying, well, we're not talking about criminal trials. Nobody's talking about criminal trials. They set up military tribunals and never took these people before them.
Yep.
So it's, it just went downhill from there. Ted Cruz asking the justice to be if babies were racist, based on an anti-racist book for kids at her children's private school, by the way, which her kids go to, which I thought private and parochial schools had rights to set their own curriculum.
Right.
And you've got Josh Hawley with his ridiculous child pornography charges against the judge that she was too lenient on sentencing, even though she wasn't heard out, and they cherry picked 10 cases and didn't look at the totality of her record. You got Tom Cotton asking her if more murderers should be prosecuted. Do we need more police on the streets? I mean, on and on and on. It just shows where the Republican Party is today. They have no ideas. They have no philosophy other than let's try to tear the other side down to keep power.
Yep, absolutely. That's absolutely what they're all about. So, and they keep saying we're going to treat you, more civil than the other side treated Amy Coney Barrett, but they're really not.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they're not. They're not throwing things in their, in her face, but they're doing it overtly. I mean, covertly. They're not doing it overtly.
I don't think the Democrats threw anything in Amy Coney Barrett's face, by the way.
Yeah, I don't either.
They can talk about Kavanaugh all they want, but it's interesting to me that they're so concerned about child pornography and children's safety when they had a person sitting before them being accused of sexually assaulting children, high school and college girls, and yet they didn't seem too concerned about that with Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Well, and then, how many, didn't they have a member of the GOP that was a former coach that was accused of, can't think of the guy's name, from Ohio. Dennis Hastert.
Speaker of the House.
Yeah, he was the Speaker of the House. So.
Well, and I guess it doesn't apply either to if you're a doctor at, I don't know, say, or a trainer, say at Ohio State University's wrestling program.
Right. Or Michigan.
With Jim Jordan.
Gymnastics program. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the hypocrisy is full scale, but it's not surprising. Nobody's shocked by it.
Right.
This is a warm up for 2022's race.
I'll tell you what really impressed me is Judge Jackson's demeanor. So every question, her response was, "Thank you, Senator." And it was heartfelt, and it wasn't condescending. And she took a moment and she answered the question. Sometimes she gave the, non-committal, I can't answer that because it might come before the court type of answer. But and I love the fact that she used previous Supreme Court justice, including Amy Coney Barrett testimony, and said, when Justice Barrett was being confirmed, she said blah blah blah, and she answered that like this, and I basically thought she just said, I know how this game is being played, and I'm here to play it. So throw what you got, but I'm gonna, bounce it right back at you. So go ahead.
Yes, definitely kept her composure. Definitely a professional. Was uh, a good job by Doug Jones. We should mention, who's kind of being her guide through the process.
Right.
The former U.S. senator from Alabama, which I still can't believe that people of Alabama chose Tommy Tuberville over him.
Yeah. Yeah. I that guy's dumber than dirt. Tuberville,
Yeah.
but
Hey, you are who you vote for.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a vote now. I mean, you don't ever hear anything about him, and he's just basically, drawing a paycheck and voting like they tell him to vote. So,
Yeah,
and that's all they want from Alabama, But if you're from Alabama, don't you want better than that for your state? Don't you want somebody who's gonna stand up? I'll tell you who'd be a good senator for them. Is the governor they got? That lady's got some spunk. I mean, she's Republican, but she's smart, and she calls a spade, and she'd be a lot better than Tuberville.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hers, but I get it.
Yeah.
Saying that she'd be a lot better than Tuberville is like saying you'd rather have they'd be a better dinner guest than Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
So yeah, so I believe they're trying to have these hearings and have everything wrapped up by Easter, which is I think the 15th or 16th of April, somewhere in there. So I let me ask your opinion on this. This is throw a little curveball at you. What do you think the usefulness is of the Senate Judiciary confirmation process now? Is it really that useful?
I think it's very useful in that it provides, there's 22 on the committee, 22 senators, time in front of the American people so they can either applaud or denigrate whoever the candidate is. Other than that, I don't think it does any good at all. I mean,
that's my point. I don't think a vote is going to change based on what happened today.
Nope.
And
but all these guys, I mean, look at that room and so you've got on the Democrat side, you've got Amy Klobuchar. She ran for president, probably will again. You got Ted Cruz. You got Josh Hawley, who's eyeing a run. I mean, this is
Tom Cotton.
I mean, these are, this
Cory
is
Booker.
And everybody that follows politics has tuned into this thing.
Yeah.
It's
just, I'm just saying, it's just theater. You don't get real answers out of anybody. The whole goal is to survive it. It's kind of like it's the first time you go to a family reunion with your in-laws. You're just trying to play four corners offense and just not make a mistake.
Right.
So anyway, we'll see. Now, I will mention that another piece of SCOTUS news this week was that Associate Justice Clarence Thomas was hospitalized. I believe he was supposed to get out today or tomorrow, is what I heard, but he was hospitalized with a flu-like symptoms.
Right.
So
could that be COVID?
Could possibly be COVID.
COVID is a flu-like virus.
It's true. And I believe Thomas is other than Breyer, I think, and Breyer, who's retiring, but I think Thomas is the next oldest justice. He is the longest serving now. So, that's, you hate to be that way, but when you had Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was pretty sick, but you kind of had, everybody kind of had a SCOTUS death watch going on to see what was going to happen. So hopefully, I mean, that should be something to fire up the Democratic base to get out and try to keep the Senate.
Yep.
Because if something happens to Thomas and it's next year and the Republicans have taken it over, they will not let Biden get another person in.
Nope. How old is Alito?
He's next after Thomas. Samuel Alito. I'll look it up real quick.
77. No, that's the wrong guy.
71. 71.
Yeah, I knew he was up there. So, I mean, if they're not careful, Biden could get 2 more seats. He could get 3 seats like Trump. And wouldn't that switch the balance back to the liberals?
Well, if they had 1 seat, if they got 1 more flip, then the way Roberts has been voting, that would give them probably a 5-4 at that point.
Right. At least, for sure, at least a fighting chance in just about every argument.
Correct.
Yeah. Whereas now it's just, there's 5 solid votes and it doesn't matter what Roberts does. So
exactly. Or what he tries to tell them.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're the boss. Now we got the votes. So you're the boss in name only. But
yeah.
Anyway, let's head east to where the real fighting is going on.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I need to go read this article. I heard about this article in Der Spiegel today that I want to go read about Putin. And it basically lays out over the years things Putin has said that indicate what he's thinking and actually doing in Ukraine. Now, part of his, I don't think it's a surprise that he invaded Ukraine. He can say, he's said in the past, there's no reason to have an independent Ukraine. They're part of Russia. They always have been. They need to come back into the fold. He considers them all to be just breakaway provinces. And to him, this isn't an invasion. This is basically just bringing, the wayward child back into the family. And if you read, according to this article that I've heard about today, he basically wants to swing up and get the Baltic states, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania,
Georgia.
Georgia. Well, he's already got part of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's quite a bit of conjecture that he has some kind of a mystical belief that he is another czar.
Right.
His whole goal is to bring the motherland back together, and the USSR breaking up was the biggest travesty in the history of the world, according to him.
Right.
But things haven't gone as well as he planned them.
Oh no, the Ukrainians are. In fact, I just read where not only did they stop the advance around Kyiv, but they're actually starting to push back. And so,
I forget the name of the city, but there was a southern city that I believe they retook.
Yeah. So, I heard, from what I've read, Putin is really ticked off that his invasion, what's he calling it? Special military engagement. Isn't going as planned, but
which he's trying to say is to try to topple the quote Nazi government.
Right. That's run by a Jew whose family died in the Holocaust.
Right. And who has stepped up and has become like one of the biggest leaders in the world.
He's the Churchill of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, I'm with you, because if Putin if he's not stopped, he won't stop.
Oh no, he won't stop. And why should he? If nobody's going to stand up and say, that's what I don't get. They talk about they won't put a no-fly zone over Ukraine, which by all accounts they've done a pretty good job of stopping that. There's no air superiority. Mitch McConnell said we should be pushing to send those Polish MiGs to Ukraine because they can fly them. And so far, they've done a pretty good job of stopping the Russian Air Force. But yeah, if Putin takes Ukraine, he's gonna swing up. into those other states. And then what do? You've got, then you realize that your sanctions aren't going to work. They're not going to stop this guy. And the only way you're going to do it is you're going to have to go in with troops, boots on the ground and kick some ass.
And
so,
and hope he doesn't press the button.
Right. And hope he doesn't press the button. Right. But here's the thing, man, there's a lot of countries that have nuclear capabilities. And the only way you're going to get away from that is for everybody to put their nukes away. And nobody's going to do that. Right. And so, I mean, I think Putin's smart enough not to use a nuke, because I think he knows that the first time he does it, the next one's going to be aimed right at his house, and, I just think that I know we wanted to give diplomacy a chance, but it just reminds me of, Neville Chamberlain going to Hitler and we have peace in our time. And then a month later, he invaded Poland and World War II is on.
Well, we never declared peace with Putin. So I'll push back on the Chamberlain comparison, because and Biden was the one saying all along, Putin's going to invade. And, the Ukrainians were the ones that said he'll never invade. He won't do it.
Right.
We don't think it will happen. And so, a couple of things, I do say that thank God Joe Biden's our president, because if he wasn't our president right now, and if it was Donald Trump, that Trump would have said, hey, take Ukraine, and while you're at it, take Poland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
U.S. would have already been out of NATO.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have united. I mean, the world, with the exception of a few outliers, is very united against Russia. Yeah. I mean, you never would have thought that Germany would have canceled that Nord Stream pipeline, but they did. And that's from Biden. That's from Biden's diplomacy to be able to get that canceled. So, I have to hope that at some point Putin withdraws, and because he's facing a lot of unrest at home.
Oh yeah, they're protesting by the thousands.
And I know he's already put his two top intelligence officials under house arrest because he said they did a terrible job planning for this invasion. The other thing, the pressure is going to come from families, because they're estimating that it could be at least 15,000 Russian troops that have been killed already.
Yeah. Well, I know McConnell on Meet the Press or Face the Nation on Sunday said the Ukrainians have already killed more Russians in a month than we lost in Afghanistan in 20 years.
Right. So well, we gotta hope for peace, and that cooler heads prevail. The other thing that could happen is these oligarchs could be getting tired of Putin ruining their lives and getting their funds frozen, their yachts seized.
Right.
And then they could say, "Hey, Vladdy, let's pull a Nixon. Let's declare victory and come home."
Right. Well, I mean, they could, because they've solidified. They've probably solidified, occupation of the Donbas region, and that was contested, so they could take that over. And, basically they could just take, bits and pieces of Ukraine until they got it all. It might take 20 years and Putin will be dead, but.
And if he's not dead.
Right. You froze up.
So
you froze up on me.
I said the stuff they're doing. Am I back yet?
Yeah, you're
Am I back now?
Yep.
Yeah, it's cold in Oklahoma today.
Right.
I was just saying that, or he'll be up before a war crimes tribunal because of the things that they've committed, the atrocities.
Right. Well, I mean, they said they were only going to target military targets. Well, how can you call a shopping mall a military target?
How can you call a theater that has 2,000 people in the basement, or a children present, how can you call that a military target? A maternity ward.
Well,
So
one thing that's interesting to me is, and of course, it's hard to know what's what, right? I mean, a lot of journalists have fled. We've lost some journalists already, that have been killed. But if you can believe what we're reading, the Russians have lost 5 of their top generals. They've been killed. They are pretty much, they had a limited supply of hypersonic weapons, and they're about to run out of those. And so, it's not looking good for Russia.
well, and it goes back to basic warfare 101. They've had huge equipment and supply chain issues.
Yep.
I mean, I wish we could send Sherman in to cut off their supply chain from the back.
Right. Well, and see what I was saying, the point I was trying to make earlier was that I know we don't want to do a no-fly zone because we think it'll escalate it, but hey, think about this. If Ukraine is having the success that we say they're having, right? And we think this is eventually going to turn into a World War III, right? Why not do 2 things? Why not go to the Chinese and say, look, this guy started it, we're going to finish it. We don't want to finish it with you guys in the fight, because even though we think we'll win, we think that's going to be very bloody. We want to make sure you guys are staying on the sideline. What can we do to keep you on the sideline, right? That might mean giving up Taiwan. I don't know. But anyway, then go in and while they're having trouble with the Ukrainians, take them out. Go in and invade Russia. Show
I was going to say, don't give China Taiwan. Give them Siberia.
Give them what?
Siberia.
Oh, right. Well, you probably could, because at one point that was disputed as to who owned it. So there's a lot of resources up in Siberia, and now that it's melting, it's becoming a nice place to live.
Now you're like Trump. Take their oil.
Right.
Well, no, your point's well taken. I mean, it's a Rubik's cube of a problem. I know that, because you go, how long can we sit by and just watch people get killed, all under the threat of what this guy's going to do? I have to hope that maybe we're doing more than we're saying we're doing.
Right. Well, one thing's for sure, Putin has done one thing that Trump, or 2 things Trump never could. 1, he got them unified, and 2, he got them to up their military spending.
It's true. Very true.
So anyway, let's head back to DC and talk about the upcoming Senate races.
Yeah, we've got quite a few Senate races, a lot of things happening right now. I would say the biggest stories this week all center around Republicans. While the map favors them and the political climate favors them, they're struggling to get the right candidates. And the candidates they have continue to commit unforced errors. You've got Herschel Walker in Georgia with his history of domestic violence, his history of bipolar disease, along with, now he made a statement that he doesn't believe in evolution, because if evolution was true, why are there still apes?
Right. I saw that.
Apes should be. So
continue. Like, you just don't know how evolution works there, buddy.
Yeah. So you've got that. In the state of Ohio, they had a GOP debate a couple of weeks ago, or let's see, when was it? I think it was on Sunday. And the top 2 front runners, which are self-funded millionaire Mike Gibbons, and then former state treasurer Josh Mandel, who's run in like every race and been beaten the last 2 or 3 times. They almost challenged each other face to face during the debate and almost came to blows. You also got J.D. Vance, the author there, who was funded by Peter Thiel and lots of outside money. And they were talking about how he was just going to be the next big thing, and he's struggling to get any traction. You've got your favorite former governor in Missouri, Eric Greitens, who had to resign amid a sex scandal where he was blackmailing a woman with pictures that he had an affair with. And now his ex-wife is suing for custody of their children, and she's accused him of domestic violence, abuse against her and the children.
Didn't they run him out of the governor's mansion? They forced him to resign.
Yeah, he had to resign. He had to resign because the Republican legislature was going to impeach him.
Yeah.
And so he had to resign. And so now Republicans, including Josh Hawley, are calling for him to bow out of the race. He says he'll never do it. It's all lies.
Right.
You've got in Pennsylvania. Yeah. In Pennsylvania, you've got Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz is running and trying to get.
That's Melania's pick. She's she's hot for Dr. Oz.
Yeah, and so Democrats will have an interesting race on that side too, with Connor Lamb, more of a moderate Democrat, John Fetterman, the lieutenant governor, who was a former mayor, is more on the liberal side of things. So that's going to be a hot race. But Republican in Oklahoma, we had a incumbent James Lankford, who's being challenged by Jacob Lehmeyer, who's a pastor at Tulsa, who says that Lankford, who's one of the most conservative members, is too liberal. And now Jim Inhofe, of Snowball fame on the Senate floor, saying there's no global warming. He's resigned, and there's going to be a special election for his seat. You got Marco Rubio, your buddy down in Florida, facing a stiff challenge from Val Demings, the congresswoman there. So, and then not to mention the seats the Democrats have to defend. Mark Kelly in Arizona. You got Catherine Mastow Cortez in Nevada. You've got Reverend Warnock in Georgia is up again, and then Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire too. Interesting though, in there's an open seat in North Carolina as well.
Oh yeah, because gosh, I can't think of the guy's name.
Not Tillis, the other one.
Yeah, starts with an R. Crap, my mother-in-law would kill me. She's like,
conveniently, because he's also had quite a bit of ethics challenges on stock trades.
Oh, Richard Burr.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. So he's not running. So that's an open seat. But the other thing is, besides the struggle candidates that they've chosen, they've also not been able to get some of the top tier candidates that they wanted. They want Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona, to run against Mark Kelly, and he refused, probably because Trump hates him, because he wouldn't stop the election count in Arizona. You had Governor Chris Sununu in New Hampshire. They wanted him to run. He wouldn't do it. They wanted Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, to run for against I think it's Ben Cardin. It's up this time for reelection. Wanted to run there. He wouldn't do it. So
Larry Hogan's gearing up to run for president. I guarantee you.
What party?
He'll run as a Republican. He will.
He may well run as a Republican. He won't make it to Iowa.
Well, Iowa might not be the starting point this next time, but I guarantee you he's gonna be in the race, and I'll bet you he gets some traction. He's gonna run as a moderate. There's people in that party that are sick of Trump, that think he's running the party off a cliff, and those are the ones that are going to support him. And I'll bet you at the end of the day, there's more people like that than there are the whack jobs that are actually going to support Trump.
They're not nobody's left in the party, man. They've all gone.
Where'd they go?
They're going to have to form a third party, is what they're going to have to do.
Who's going to lead it? Mitch McConnell?
Larry Hogan could.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm just telling you, in 2024, there's going to be no traction for a moderate. That's what those guys
On
like
the
you already
inside?
pointed it out, those guys in, huh?
Go ahead. You just froze.
Did I
Froze
freeze?
up.
I said the Democrat's going to be Joe Biden.
Right.
So, but I mean, you already said it yourself in that hearing today. This is a tryout for 2024.
Yep.
You got Cruz, Hawley, and Cotton all competing to be as close to McCarthy as they can.
Yep.
So somebody who a decent guy like Larry Hogan just doesn't have a chance in a party like that.
Right. Well, and none of them all stand a chance if the polls hold and DeSantis is the guy, but I still think DeSantis is gonna have some Matt Gaetz trouble here before too long. So lost you.
Yeah, I'm here. I heard you.
Oh,
DeSantis is gonna have some Matt Gaetz problems.
yeah.
You just hope he didn't go to Fantasy Island with him.
I'm sure that he did. I mean, those guys were tight, and now you notice that you haven't heard much about that, in a long time, which usually means things are moving, and the next thing you know, Mr. Getz has an announcement that says he's, struck a deal with the government for a reduced prison sentence, and he's going to turn state's evidence against his good friend Ron DeSantis.
Either that or he's accepted an offer with Vladimir Putin as an advisor.
Right. Well, there's that wing, Mitch McConnell on Sunday said they were lonely voices in the wilderness, and he wouldn't put too much stock in it. But I think there's a growing number that, led by Tucker Carlson, that think Putin is the way to go. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert,
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump, all those guys are
Madison Cawthorn.
big Putin. Yeah, Madison Cawthorn. They're all big Putin fans. So Cawthorn called Zelensky a thug and said he ought to be arrested and shot.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, hey, it's been a great show. It's going to be an exciting year. We got a lot of elections coming up, a lot of twists and turns between now and November.
Yep.
And I'm going to break what I'm about to say because we haven't said it all episode. We didn't mention the name Joe Manchin.
Right. Well, we'll see how he votes for the Supreme Court for this nominee.
I don't have confidence that he'll be a yes.
No, but they've got two Republican votes for sure. Murkowski and Susan Collins. So they don't need Manchin.
We'll see.
So yeah, they've already said. So, and I don't think those people will be bullied. So, and if her nomination goes down because of it, if I was Biden, I'd find the most liberal justice I could, and I'd nominate them, and then I'd go back to Manchin and I'd say, you better vote for this one, or guess what? You're not getting anything ever again from this administration.
Yeah. I'd like to introduce you to Associate Justice Ocasio-Cortez.
Right. Or Barack Obama.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, it's great chatting and good. It's a good show. I'm excited for season 2, and we'll see you guys next week.
Everybody take care.
Bye-bye.